Hey, in this video I'm going to demonstrate a quick technique for blending multiple images into one fantastic result. And in this case, it is a bicycle light, or yeah, I believe it's called bicycle light. It's by a brand called Surface. So essentially what I did is I took the package and I broke it down into its components, and they are, oh, let's see, they are the case, as you can see here, the battery, and the light itself. So I photographed each item separately using one or two lights, maybe a reflector or a mirror, something like that. And in the case of the battery, it was very simple. I just laid it on a surface, took the picture, cut it out, and with the light, I actually had to do two exposures because there is a highlighted button, which you see the blue light has to have a separate exposure because it takes longer to expose for that than it does to photograph the rest of the unit. So this is actually two photographs just for the light itself, one photograph for the battery, and one photograph for the case. So I photographed all of those, cut them all out, and blended them all together. One thing you'll notice here is with the case, there is a blue cast to it. And I wanted that to basically show that it's more three-dimensional. And I put a blue cast on it using this blue filter down here. Because if you look at images of, for example, landscapes, to make them look more three-dimensional on a two-dimensional surface, which would be the painting, generally the background will be a bit cooler because cool colors tend to recede and warm colors tend to come forward. So that was the theory behind that. And then with the battery, I photographed it again with a single light, maybe a reflector to fill up some of the shadows here. And then I brought all those elements into Photoshop and blended them down. There is some alteration of the tonalities as far as contrast goes using a levels adjustment layer here. And if you look up the top here, this is the levels adjustment layer here. And that is for generally the entire image. This levels layer here has a little arrow, and it is clipped only to the battery. So it's only affecting the battery. As I click this on and off, you can see the battery getting brighter and more shapely, I guess, because of the levels adjustment. And below that is the filter for the case. And as I was saying, I changed the tonality to be cooler to make that a bit more three-dimensional, a bit more interesting. And I took out most of the tonalities, not the tonalities, I took out a lot of the color of the case itself, turning it into basically a black and white image because I wanted the light and the battery to stand out more. So the case has been desaturated, the color has been pulled out of it, and a blue filter has been added. So combining all of this stuff together with those actions gives you the final image, which is this one here. And this image has further been sharpened just a little bit and adjusted to 72 pixels per inch, perfect for the internet. And when I sharpen, I usually wait to the very end and I do something like this. I'll take my base image, so everything's been completed, I don't have to do anything else, and I drag it down to the plus box down here, which creates a copy of it. So this is an exact copy. And then I will go into my filter and go down to Other and come over to High Pass and give it usually around 1 pixel of sharpening, and I hit OK. That gets rid of it. So what I'm looking at right now is the sharpening layer. But then I come over to this layer here, so this box here, and go down to Overlay. And Overlay blends these two together. From here, I will flatten this couple of layers. So I would go and use my Shift, Command, and the letter E, and that flattens it. And that's how I do that. So from there, I would save it to the size I want. If I want it to be printed, then I would save it at 300 pixels per inch. But I want it to go only to the internet, so I'll save it to a 72 pixels per inch setting, and that would be absolutely perfect. I did no other adjustments. There's a little bit of cleaning up here and there of dust, and I'm not going to bother showing that because that's really not necessary. And I adjust a little bit of color in the face of the light itself because there was a color cast from, I believe, the table. And I cleaned that up. There's a bit more work that went into it, but that is basically the basics of how I did it. This is Mike at Mike Taylor's Photo Arts in Peterborough, Ontario, saying thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, share, and like. Hit that like button. And tell your friends who are interested in doing this sort of work. And I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.